Hi guys, welcome to my house, my little spooky hobbit hole as I like to call it. I guess we're gonna go through and have a look at my collection today, and I'm gonna talk about some of the stuff that I have. High school Jess was literally an amalgamation of both of her brothers, although she didn't really want to be as open about that yet, but I had the music taste and the alternative-ish sort of style of my one brother Devin, and I had all the nerdiness of my oldest brother Andrew. So I was walking around looking like a little scene queen with the bright red hair, like Ariel red, that had like the spiky bangs, and wore all the band t-shirts. Was into My Chemical Romance, but when you talk to me, I probably wouldn't shut up to you about cosplaying or any of the graphic novels I really liked, or Edgar Allan Poe, or superheroes and Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings and Star Wars and all of the things that one pretty much is raised to love unconditionally as a nerd. I have many a thing on here, including my little tarantula. Her name's Bella. She's been my little creepy crawly for like the last 6 or 7 years, so I keep her there to be on display so she can keep an eye on everyone out here too. When we look at all the horror stuff up here that I've added recently, you can see that we have the Scare Bear that I made ages ago. This was a creation of mine from, I want to say, around the senior year of high school, and I pretty much cut up and mutilated a teddy bear, melted a bunch of candle wax on it, and used a bunch of like coagulated fake blood and a pair of plastic vampire fangs here that, you know, serve as its crazy rabid mouth. And now I have my little misunderstood creation, is what I like to call him. I definitely grew up as a tomboy, like pre-dating high school. I always hung out with the guys. I always got along with guys better because, I mean, I have older brothers. I'm the only girl in my family besides my mother, and her and I are definitely not two peas in the same pod. We're very different. I'm definitely more of the darker, spookier, severe one, and she's always been very girly and dainty. So like I said, I took after my brothers a lot there. And even my dad, he's the one that got me into a lot of the horror movies that I love now. So being influenced by guys in my life, and then always kind of being harder to connect with females. Like, I had female friends, but a lot of them ended up picking on me a lot because I was into different things than them and didn't wear the same clothes as them. So, you know, naturally, guys are easier to get along to, because if you're a girl that likes Star Wars and can talk about it, guys want to be your friend. That's kind of how. And then if you see way back here, we have like this really tall Christian Bale. That is Christian Bale, is Patrick Bateman. This guy's cool. He actually talks if you turn him on. However, I don't turn him on because he talks at will. So I will be sitting in my living room watching Netflix one day, and then he will just randomly start talking about the tasteful thickness of his business cards. So I have to, you know, just leave him off, or else I get very scared that my house is haunted by a possessed Christian Bale doll that I got from the flea market, so it's best just to leave him off. This guy, very old, as you can see, and a little smoke damaged. Anytime you see an action figure that is discolored and yellow like that unfortunately means it's been kept somewhere where people were very heavy smokers. So as a collector, it always hurts to see something like this, but when it's a cool enough figure, you want it anyway, isn't it? So even though I was very much a tomboy with that, there was still a part of me that wanted to discover like self-expression and art and things that I never really had a chance to experience in my childhood. Even though my mom was very girly and dainty, she never wore a lot of makeup, is always very against it. So naturally, growing up into sort of the more rebellious things like loud, screamy music, as she would say, and, you know, dark clothing, I wanted to, you know, start experimenting with my makeup as well. And I remember even the first time I tried going to high school with winged eyeliner, my mom tried keeping me from school that day and was like, "You're not leaving my house looking like that." I did leave the house looking like that, and then continued to do so probably every day for the rest of my life. So I guess you can say that having a mom that was very against makeup and me going into makeup definitely pushed me, being the rebel that I was, to just be the absolute antithesis of that and go all out with my makeup and wear the super dark eyeliner and paint my brows like Robert Smith from The Cure's, because I mean, when you're in high school, you don't really know what you're doing. So when you're wearing all this dark goth makeup, you walk around making some choices with what you're doing with your face there, but you hopefully learn, or you just do what makes you happy. This is Spencer the skeleton. He's my friend, by the way. I picked him up at Spirit Halloween that year too. I went into Spirit Halloween at the time. It wasn't even just to go on a big shopping spree. I was literally just going in for some liquid latex for a film I was working on. And I left with Spencer here, so I really don't know what happened. I must have blacked out and left with a skeleton, as one does. You see we have a Sleepy Hollow figure here. This guy, again, huge Tim Burton fan. I picked that up at Comic-Con one year because honestly I just wanted a Christopher Walken action figure, and I got one now. We have even more collectibles. If we look at the front row, it's a lot of my Evil Dead stuff, as well as this little shelf here. Like I said, Evil Dead is my favorite. We have the giant Army of Darkness poster, the variation that had Bruce Campbell looking ripped as hell for no good reason at all, but why not? Because of course he has to be like over the top and campy as that entire movie was, which is why I loved it so much. I had gone through a lot in the last couple of years, a very bad abusive relationship, and any woman that's been through any kind of abusive relationship will tell you that their confidence is non-existent when they're out of it, and they probably haven't ever felt worse about themselves. So when you're in a situation like that and you're kind of forced to carry on with your life, because no matter what's going on with you, life doesn't stop moving around you. So I had to either really just live with feeling like crap about myself every day, or find a way to start feeling better about my body and better about who I was as a person and what I did as a career and with my life. Like, it was everything about myself that I was uncomfortable with that I really had to build a loving relationship with again. So getting in front of the camera was a way to see almost like a documentation of my own recovery from that. Because when I started taking pictures, it was, you know, I had finally been able to like stop wearing wigs because my hair was getting healthier again. I was gaining weight after an eating disorder again. And then from that, from my start of my portfolio, I got to see myself get better and better and better and look healthier and healthier and healthier. And it eventually brought a sense of self-esteem back to myself that was destroyed ages ago, and probably an even stronger sense of self-esteem than I've had previously from even before all that, because just being the nerdy alternative girl, you get bullied a lot growing up, and I wasn't always the best looking girl either. I was kind of an ugly duckling and a very awkward looking kid. So to be the person that people always compliment and be in front of the camera now as a model, it's still very surreal to me, because I was that person where if you complimented me, I would think it was some kind of weird, sick joke for the longest time, because who would be complimenting me? If we look at the signatures on this wall, back here, hidden in the corner, we have Alex Vincent, and I hide him back there just strictly because I went on a date with him that didn't go so well, and nothing against him. It's just, you know, he wasn't exactly my type, but at the same time, it was still cool to get to meet him and to get a little bit of a scoop on the Chucky universe. And now I have a cool story about how I went on a date with Alex Vincent, but long story short, I'm not into short guys. Then we have a Tom Savini signature. As you can see, that's him as his infamous character from Dusk Till Dawn. I mean, having a gun in your crotch is not my weapon of choice, but it is pretty badass for a film, if you ask me. So it's kind of funny that I have that 8x10 from him specifically out of all the stuff that he's done, and out of the fact that I love him more as a special effects artist. I guess it's kind of cool that I can remember him from that too. And then of course the big one that we have in the white frame up there, that is one of my holy grails, is a Romero signature. So very, very valuable signature these days, as we know. Rest in peace, he's no longer with us, but always been a fan of Creepshow. He was the godfather of zombies. It would be blasphemy to not have his signature in my collection, especially as such a big Stephen King fan. Like, Creepshow was really one of my favorite things that he did, because that was a collab between him and Stephen King. So I mean, realistically, one day, hopefully I can get Stephen King to sign that too, and then it's going to be a really valuable piece of paper in that frame, but I will be very happy with George's for now, and if that's all I get, then that's all I get. No, I have formal training. I'm double certified as a makeup artist, and I mean, in some makeup courses, they always teach you like theater makeup, basic special effects. So that's where my formal training lies with that. But the rest of like the formal training I would say I have is through experience. Like working on sets, I've probably learned more with the special effects stuff than I ever would have doing any kind of regular makeup course. And then I haven't actually like gone to any kind of courses like at Sheridan or anything for the special effects makeup. I started off a lot of self-taught with that, and just like I said, replicating what I saw, following tutorials, making things as accurate as possible according to reference pictures of some pretty gruesome stuff. Like, to go through a special effects artist like search history in their images, you definitely would probably think they're a serial killer, but I digress. You need to... The very first like official set was Damnation of Dracula. That was a fun one. I got to do the makeup for the preview, which was fun. That was my first time like actually being on a set. Now, even just doing the preview and doing the teaser trailer, I had no idea what the final project was gonna look like or what they were really gonna do with it. I was told very little to begin with, just that I had to go in and gore up a hand, spray some blood around, and it was gonna be just me working on the preview, because the main special effects artist, Scott Peterson, who does work on like Star Trek Discovery and really big projects like that, he definitely has some big names under his belt on his page. He wasn't available that day because he was working on Star Trek, so it was just me. And it was a lot of fun. It definitely gave me an idea of what it would have been like working on the movie. But then when the actual movie came around, and it's a full-scale production, and it's an independent production with a lot of different creative ideas putting their hand in one pot, you'd be surprised how long it takes for things to get done. So as fun as it was, and as much as I did learn, there was a lot of sitting around between takes and waiting for me to be needed again and to touch things up again. This is actually a really cool find from the flea market as well. This is Evil Dead 2 on Laserdisc. Now, I'm not sure if any of you young whippersnappers out there will know what a Laserdisc is, but it was a really cool old way to watch movies back in the day. And these guys basically look like like if you were to see this, you'd probably think it was a vinyl or a record for like the soundtrack of the movie, but this is legitimately what it is played on. And the cool thing about this guy is that the colors of the discs come out in different colorways too, just like rare records, but this is the blood red disc variant of the Laserdisc of this movie. So that is pretty cool, because there was gold, black, and red was one of the rarer ones. So to have my hands on this and to pay like, I think like $50 for it, it was a good find. Like anything Evil Dead in my collection, that's something I will probably be buried with, because I don't think I will ever trade it or sell it or part with it in any way. It's always going to be mine. All right, and thank you. My name's Jessica Rose, and I'm a model and special effects makeup artist.